Watching Wine. I'm Rhea.
Champagne.
Treva.
And Lynn.
And we are bringing to you today
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And we're about to do this entire series, which is 4 books.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about it, and I know that there's been sort of a breakup in the series. So like the first 3 books are by one author, and then the next book is by a different author. So who are the authors again?
So the first 3 books are by Steig Larsson, and then he actually passed away. And I can't remember off the top of my head who the next author of it's the 4th book, but he picked up where Steve kind of left off.
Okay. And there was a relationship between the two of them, because I think he had wrote the foreword for one of his for Steve's books, or Steve's book. I don't know. Anyway, I'm excited about the entire series.
So today we are discussing the American and the Swedish versions of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. The Swedish one came out in 2009, and it was directed by, sorry, all Swedish people, Niles Olov, and screenplay by Nicola Arcel.
Good job.
that was good enough.
The American movie came out in 2011, and the director was David Fincher, and the screenplay was Steven Zalian.
Okay.
Announce those names. So today we are drinking, or I'm drinking at least, Apothic Red blend, my favorite.
I hope you're going to pace yourself this time. I can see now that you're not, but
A little judged, but
it's all right. It's all about love, baby girl. Okay, so what do you guys think? Let's just jump into it. Well, first, let's just start. Champagne, I got to start with you because you were like ready to strangle us because
we didn't want to do
it was a little bit difficult to start off. So I'm just curious how you feel now.
The book was like this big. It wasn't in the cards. But okay, I'll start with the book. I like this book a lot. First chapter could have left out, but
yay!
I'm so glad.
You understand? I probably read it all in probably 2 settings. Like,
wow, yeah.
Well,
okay.
for one, thank you, the coronavirus. We all have the time to be able to do that.
Exactly. Very true. Very true.
And for 2, I'm so happy to hear that because the first time I read it, I could not put the book.
I couldn't. And let me just tell you that I know it's coming next, but book 2 is the one that kept me in the car in the parking lot at work and made me late for work.
In the morning.
Book 2, I mean, that one had me going. Like, I couldn't stop.
The first time I read all 3 of the hard copies of the book. And I was traveling back and forth to Seattle, so 6-hour flight. And I literally would be awake reading it. And so on the way back from one of my flights, they asked, can somebody wait till like the next flight to leave? We'll be in the airport for 5 hours. And I was like, me, give me time to read it. I will sit at LaGuardia Airport and read this book. And I was so happy.
And get your free ticket.
Copy.
I was going to say, and they bought that $500 too.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was nice too. But I literally sat in LaGuardia Airport, earned my $500, and read from book 2 to book 3. I was so happy.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you enjoyed it because I was worried because I loved it. We all love this series so much, and I know I know you saw the movies, but it was your first time reading the book. So good. I'm so glad you liked it. So what do you think about the adaptation? Maybe the Swedish version.
They had a lot of changes. For this movie to be 3 hours long and not have every single second of this book.
Well, so not to interrupt you, but when they were released originally, they were put out in series. So it was like a 90-minute series and then like the second part. So each movie is 3 hours long, but it was put out in 90 minutes increments, like to be on TV or whatever.
Gotcha.
Right.
It's
still long, but I'm just saying.
And they still left much out. I was excited at first because I didn't mind it being so long, but I thought Okay, it's long because they're going to include every single second and crevice of this book. And it did not. Matter of fact, they added crap in that they didn't really need to add. I mean, Jesus Christ. So what's it?
I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. It was good.
I like the Swedish version. I'll tell you what I really loved about the beginning. I think of both of them is that the way it started off with Vanger, the old man. Was that his name? Vanger.
Yeah.
The way it started off with the flower in the frame. I don't know why that just made me feel so emotional because you knew what that symbolized, and of course you didn't find out till later on in the movie, but you did find out in the book early on. But they started the movie with him looking at those flowers, and I was like, oh.
No, I agree.
I loved it. I love that they started them with that.
It's like they set the stage for you to be like, okay.
Right, exactly.
Like, what are these pressed flowers? And like for us who have read the book, it's like, oh, okay. Starting off with the gut wrenching, like memory.
And then in the Swedish version of that movie, when he took Mikael, when he took him to the attic, and it was so dramatic seeing all those flowers on the wall. I was like,
but at least
this
had like one for every birthday, so it was 40 years. So there's a wall of 40, and kind of to dump into the American one, there was like 20 up there, or like 10 of them, and I was like, one from every birthday,
right?
Exactly.
40 on the wall. So I'm very happy that the Swedish one had a whole attic wall full of 40 of them. It was nice.
Yeah.
I have so many notes on the Swedish version. It's not even. Huh?
I actually prefer the Swedish version myself. I love it.
I preferred the Swedish version also.
I preferred the American.
Did you?
I did.
Gus, because you got 3-1 over here.
Yeah, we got to talk about this. So the only thing that I didn't like about the Swedish version, I'll just say, is that Mikael, they had him doing the flashbacks to his childhood with these memories of Harriet, which I'm like, that wasn't in the movie. He barely even remembered her. He just remembered the fire truck or the car or something. And so they added that in, and I don't know why they did that, because I'm like, he didn't really need to have that connection with Harriet because he didn't really remember her in the book. So I didn't like that piece of it.
Right. I remember in the book, Mikael, his decision to leave Millennium, his magazine company, didn't come from. It came from him. He decided to leave. But in the movie of the Swedish version, anyway, the Wennerström or whatever his name is, the mole was the one that decided, oh yeah, he should leave and take let this blow over.
Yeah, hiatus.
I didn't like that they changed that. But yeah, so I didn't like some of the changes. I don't know why y'all like this movie. I really don't.
To me, the changes that they made weren't. To me, they just were irrelevant. I didn't care. But, it didn't really change the flow of the movie for me.
Mm-hmm. True.
But that's probably why it didn't matter to me.
It also gave more detail than the American version, like more meaning behind why Lisbeth was so troubled with her flashbacks with her dad and the match that she threw into the car. So like things like that, it kind of added it. So basically, the American one seemed like a standalone independent movie where they weren't planning on making a trilogy. But
that's such a good observation.
The Swedish one was like they were meshing all of them together to be able to release a trilogy.
Right.
So I just felt like it was just a disconnect between like a standalone movie and then like a trilogy coming out.
That's so funny, Lynn, because that's a good observation. Because when you think about that is probably what they did. Is on the American side, they were like, well, let's wait and see how this actually does before we decide to make more.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had to like think that if they're gonna change the freaking ending of the movie.
Oh, well, yeah, come on.
So I feel like
you don't want to get started on that.
Let's just say,
don't get me started.
They knew what they were doing.
Right. Where was the freaking cat? Tell me that. Where was the cat?
What cat?
In a Swedish, exactly. In a Swedish version, the cat was missing. I thought that unfortunately, I needed to see how brutal.
You wanted to see the mutilated cat?
Not necessarily, but I worry about you sometimes. No, put into context on how sick Martin really is. to have to do
The
that.
pictures enough of him, like, raping and molesting his sister wasn't
Yeah,
enough.
I think we can get it.
I don't know, the discussion about having force the sex with a sister and stuff. I mean, that wasn't brutal enough.
Yeah, it was. It was saying.
Yeah.
Freak him out to give him an idea, like what is going on? Like this is got, you know what I mean.
I'm worried about you.
Okay.
Don't know what you mean. Thought it was okay. Don't know what you mean.
Quarantine a little too long, probably.
Think so.
Yeah, but that rape scene of her overseer in the Swedish version,
boyish bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a horrific scene.
Yeah.
It really was.
So graphic.
So in the American one, it was bad, but I feel like for some reason the actress, Nomi, when she was like choking, like I just felt so much worse. Like it just was like, oh my god, I had to like look away a few times.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in the American version, because I'm just gonna put it out there. The girl that played Lisbeth in the American version,
I never
Rooney Mara.
I like her. I've always liked her as an actress anyway, her and her sister. So.
Oh.
I probably would like her as an actress, but in this movie, she did not fit the part of what they described at all.
What?
In this movie, she was not this so desirable. No. So as an actress, she might be great, but she was not the right person for this movie.
Well, also that lies into once you get champion to the rest of them, that would all kind of like line together because she needed to be tiny and skinny and kind of like boyish on the bottom, but like still desirable. It'll all connect later on, and I don't think Rooney Mara really fit that, but Noomi Rapace, she did.
Yes. Yeah, I liked her a lot.
Disagree with you.
Champagne's like, I don't know what y'all were watching, but that was the most garbage y'all were
Champagne is
watching.
thinking about the people in whatever movie they were in 5 years ago.
No, but
and it's like,
man, it was more her sister than anybody. But when I saw the weird looking girl, and I looked her up, and I was like, oh, that's Mara's sister, or the other one's sister. But yeah, I can't think of like a movie off the top of my head that she was in. I just know that when I saw this movie before, I absolutely loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, she's perfect for this role. Because she's so eerie looking.
It could be too that you saw the movie before you read the book.
Could be. I didn't even know it was a book.
Right.
I noticed that sometimes when you watch the movie first, you already got that character's face in your head. So when you're reading the book, you automatically put it there. Because that happens with me a lot. Where I'm thinking of person look some kind of way.
But her acting skills was the bomb. I mean, they all can act.
Oh
yeah.
She just did, yeah.
But I just felt like the American version was better for me because, I don't know. I think they touched on almost every single part of the book, unlike the Swedish version.
I'm like opposite about it. I feel like there was so much left out of the American movie, and it starts kind of abruptly versus like with the whole opening credits and like the black leather. I was so affected by that, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Wait, are you watching a sitcom or a movie?" First of all, and then we like jumped into it. Yeah, I was like, "Wait, what is happening?" So I think from like jump, I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm done. Nope."
That's so funny. I didn't even mention that, but it was driving me crazy, the opening credits. That's funny that you said it.
Very weird. I agree. Well, I think this book was weird, but
it was.
It's a good weird.
It doesn't matter because you liked it. That's all that matters. You liked it.
Yeah. Very true.
That's what I like.
In the book, Henrik or Mr. Vanger, whatever, took Mikael to tell. He wanted him to tell everyone, his whole family, that he was there to write his biography or memoir or whatever. But in the Swedish movie, he didn't even mention it.
Right. I wrote that note too. That bothered me. Like he didn't even have to have a fake backstory.
No. Well, I feel like it was significant for him to be there to write a book because he was a journalist. So it's a perfect cover. But now it looks like you're just there to solve a murder, and who in their right mind will hire a journalist to figure out a murder?
And that also falls in line with the reasoning why Lisbeth was brought on In the American one, it followed the book of how he was like, who wrote this report? How did they get this information?
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
computer. And then in the Swedish one, he was like, yeah, your person sent me an email, and his assistant was like, what are you talking about? I don't have an assistant. And then he tracked the, sorry, I keep saying he. Mikael tried to track it back himself, which is a different aspect of how Lisbeth joins. But I feel like they kind of missed the mark on that with taking that piece away, with it being like, who the heck, like, got this information off my computer?
Right.
Did help out with Wennerström later, but yeah.
I agree with that comment. Like, that's one of the things that if the Swedish version had to mess that piece up, I would have said hands down it was perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
But like for me, the Swedish ending of the movie, of how it actually kept Anita and Harriet separate, and she just picked up on her life, moved to Australia, and followed the book. I liked that portion. So I think that was why I was so deterrent against the American version. And I'm like, what? It just like completely changed the ending. But it, for me, the American one wouldn't have followed through with the second movie very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was why I'm so against the American one. It wasn't bad. It just was, it wasn't prompt to get ready to build that whole series. I mean, we just finished with the Hunger Games series. So that series, it led one to one to one. So I was looking for something that had that connection. And I feel like the American one just didn't have the connection for me.
What?
So let's talk about some notes from the American version. Although next week, you guys, we got to remember to ask Champagne the question. Now, which one did you prefer?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Well, only the Swedish version for the second one.
Yeah.
You mean the fourth one?
Yeah.
Has two.
No, but she will have read the second book, and so she would see that with the American version, you couldn't even really go into the second book.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about what
right now. We're
about
talking about
Vegas. So,
right.
You said what? What we're saying makes sense?
Right, because you guys saying that the Swedish version, because you've seen the second one, it makes no sense that you would like this movie. This was like, what? So now that you said once I see the next one, maybe it'll probably be different. So I get that.
Maybe, or maybe after you finish the second book.
Maybe.
when I read the series, I read all the books in order, and then I watched all the movies in order. So for me, it wasn't broken up like 1 and 1, 1 and 1.
Right.
So when I watched the American one, it was so abrupt versus you watch all of them straight through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing that annoyed me about the Swedish version was they took out the entire scene with his daughter. In the Swedish version, she was like 6 when she was supposed to be a teenager going off to church college or whatever.
So I thought it was his sister's daughter, like his niece. Because his sister was his lawyer, and that she was meeting with her sister for one to be sister, but for two with her lawyer before he went and did all the things for Mr. Vanger. And then when he came back, he was ready to go to jail basically because he had already prepared all the things with his lawyer / sister. So I thought the little girl was his niece.
Well, not in the book. It wasn't supposed to be his niece. It was supposed to be his daughter.
Well, yeah, I'm saying I know that his daughter is teenager, but in the scene on the beginning of the Swedish movie when they were sitting down making whatever they were making and he was rolling it out, the little girl that was there, I thought was his niece.
Which made it worse then because
because it should have been his daughter.
Yeah.
She actually solved the whole Bible thing for him.
Yeah.
So had to change that. You know, that ended up being Lisbeth, which I didn't mind Lisbeth resolving it because she's just so phenomenal anyway. But
yeah, it showed her brilliance even though it was not accurate.
Oh gosh, I absolutely love that. I love her character.
Don't get it. I
love her character so much.
I love Lisbeth, like her photographic memory, her attention to detail, how she goes against the grain. It doesn't matter like what society wants. She goes with what's right. Right. And I love her character.
And they definitely captured that in both movies, that personality. So I think that was captured in both movies. So let's talk a little bit about the American version. What we don't like, what we do like. Let me just ask y'all this, even though we haven't gotten to casting yet. In the American version, wasn't that Jenny?
Who?
Jenny, the lady that played Jenny in Forrest Gump and also played House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Was
yeah.
that her? I can't remember her name.
Oh yeah, Robin Wright. Yeah.
Yeah, Robin
Yeah,
Wright. Okay, yeah. All right, because I was just like, is that Robin Wright? Well, I said, is that Jenny?
First I was like, who's Danny? And I'm like, oh,
Jenny! Forrest Gump Jenny.
When Henrik and Mikael finally came together for the first time, when he met him to just, kind of convince him to take the job,
Yeah.
he didn't mention that Harriet was his babysitter. Like, he's lived there.
Oh, you mean in the American version?
In the American version, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that.
But I can't remember. Did they mention the little car, truck, significant thing in the American version?
no. I mean, like the accident.
The thing that actually in the book that triggered Mikael's memory was the fact that he had that car that Vanger gave him to play with when he was little.
Either one.
Okay. I knew they didn't do it in the Swedish one, but I couldn't quite remember in the American one.
No, they didn't do it.
Okay.
And
Not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, Fran. That was the thing that actually triggered his memory to the fact that he did
I know. I just wanted to say it. I just need to say my word.
Whatever.
Yeah, one of the best moments in the for me in the American version is when she saved Mikael from the basement of Martin, and he was about to run out, and she was like, "Can I kill him?
Can I kill him?
Can I kill him?" I was like, "Oh,
And he was like, yeah.
In the book,
Yeah.
Martin killed himself by running into a truck. In either version, he didn't run into a truck. He had an accident, but he didn't run into a truck.
I think they wanted to take the power away from Martin and make it more in a karma type thing, like where he was trying to escape again and be free, and then Lisbeth or
which was better.
And whoever stopped him. So I think that's what they were going for. That's what I perceived from it.
Yes, that's more satisfying, actually. So
Just saw that car getting ready to blow up. Girlfriend was like,
right.
Yeah, right.
He just watched this step.
He burned to death. No big deal.
Next.
I like it that they went into full detail when she had her little transformation and went to steal
the money.
Money. Yeah, I like that they went into full detail versus the other one when they just showed a picture and he happened to see it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they went into detail.
And like how she got rid of everything, like the wig was here, the jewelry was here, the clothes was there.
Right.
Yeah, it seems so. And also in the American one where her lip print was on the cup, on the glass.
And she did this,
that, and it was like, it really showed her detail.
Yeah.
Nobody like left it there, but she was like, she had gloves on, she had her face mostly covered by her bangs, and it took the lip print away, and that was like textbook Lisbeth to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Perfect.
I guess I could see why you like that version because of all those details, but
I think for me the problem is the actress. That's the biggest thing for me is the actress.
And I thought both of them.
And I just can't wait till you get further along.
yeah.
Before we got in the casting, one of the details that kind of bothered me was the tattoo, like the dragon tattoo. And the American one, it was like this little shoulder tattoo that went across like her torso. But in the Swedish one, her whole back. I mean, if I would have saw that on a woman, I'd be like, oh, that is the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah,
the other one, like, oh yeah, she got some tattoos. It might be of a dragon, but like the whole back.
Yeah.
It kind of minimized the significance of it.
Right. And to me, that is so significant. Like the book is called The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It needs to be like, pow.
Let's make it a little shoulder tattoo. What?
One other thing before we go to casting, though, is I like the American version of how she got back at her social worker or whatever he was, because he was they emphasized in the book the anal thing.
Yep.
It didn't emphasize that in the Swedish version about him, doing it to her anally, but in the American version, she got back so.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Oh,
in the Swedish version, had a little baby joint. Like, what is that hurting?
I cringed, and she was kicking it. I was like, ow, ow.
Yeah. And you can hear
But I'm gonna tell you what, though, that putting that tattoo on that Joker's front side, I was like,
that's so messed up.
Like that.
In the American one, did they take out the whole sentence? Like, you're a sadist, like you're a rapist, pig. I was like, wait, you're a rapist? No,
on top
everything.
On top of Sweden has a lot more letters.
Yes.
Capital letters.
You can't hide that when you going swimming.
She
That
better
was like the alphabet 3 times.
y'all better than me. I would have been like this with the thing on his forehead. Ever.
Champagne? I see. I'm still worried.
I know. I'm quarantined. I'm sorry.
But in the American one, when she was like, host, I've never done this before. Oh, yeah. Comforting. Sure, let me just not move for like my
Exactly.
I just loved everything about her personality, though.
Yeah.
Too. I think it brought it home for me when she said, "May I kill him?" Yes, you can, sweetie.
You go ahead and do you.
Head. I'll be here.
Try to breathe.
You'll watch me do it too, right?
Right. Okay, so casting, real quick. The Swedish Mikael hated it. I'm
So,
sorry.
I wish they would swap.
The Swedish movie was Mikael Blomkvist.
Good job.
American, of course, was Daniel Craig.
I love Daniel Craig so much better.
Too,
Me
so
too.
I'm ready.
Yeah, he was much better.
He was.
For me, I would have, if they could have, like Treva was saying, if you switched the Daniel and the other one and then the women, I'd been like, yeah.
Yeah, because Erica in the Swedish version
Well, the only thing
Crypt
that
Keeper-ish.
was like, I feel like the American version, they really went for like the attractive quality of like these people, and then like the Swedish one, it was like, yeah, Joe, no, let's go put you as this character.
Basically.
Like Erica Bagger was supposed to be like regal and attractive, like Robin Wright, not like Lena.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. They had me done for as soon as I saw him, Mikael in the Swedish version.
Yeah, because he was supposed to be a desirable man that lots of women wanted to be with, and I was like, no, negatives.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know, when you have different places around the world, attractiveness is very so. That could be it.
That's true.
That's
true.
I'm sorry, Daniel Craig is attractive worldwide.
True.
But you know, in Europe, sometimes their definition of what's attractive is a little bit different. And so while the person is supposed to be like drop dead gorgeous, we're like, no.
No.
Sweden.
Negative.
Can I ask you guys a question? Did we talk about what we were drinking?
Yes.
We did.
Okay.
Maybe you should slow down, and you would know.
I know. That's part of the problem. I'm like, but do we even talk about it?
Got
I
a
don't know.
little baby right now for you. Okay. Just keep drinking. Just keep drinking.
So, one of the things I wanted to discuss was in the Swedish version, Henrik Vanger was played by like a younger guy versus in the American one where he was like on his deathbed at all times. Yeah, in the Swedish one, he had like a heart attack, but he still was like up walking around in his giant like Eskimo like jacket in the Swedish one. So I didn't like how they changed the age to me. But Christopher Plummer, who plays Henrik in the American version, I love him in everything.
Love him, me too.
So I was happy they chose him.
Me too.
They just made him way too fragile. I agree with you because even in the book, he came across as this older man, but he was still feisty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
old,
they
old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Champagne, hello? Is that your phone? Hello?
That's my alarm.
Oh.
Do you drink more wine alarm?
Wine time.
The character who played, or the characters who played Martin Vanger, in the Swedish it was Peter Haber, and then in the American it was Stalin Skarsgård. And I feel like both of them I don't really care.
American.
Like, they're interchangeable to me.
Because I recognized the American guy that you just mentioned. That's why I liked him. I was like, and he didn't. I don't know. I guess he's who I pictured as a Martin, like her brother, not some overweight, weird-looking guy. But either way, you're right. It really didn't matter.
You are rolling with the names now.
Yes,
Dog,
yes.
I did my research.
Oh, that's what
I did mine too, but I don't even know what to say.
But I just felt like Martin should have been like a crazy looking person for me. Like I was picturing What's the guy from The Shining? Like, I thought he was gonna be crazy.
No, I had it like really put together, dipped up tie and everything, because like he needed to be like
polished, so nobody would ever think it.
Nobody knew that he was like raping his sister since like the age of 14.
Right.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I guess reading the descriptions of what he did in the book, automatically you think you want to see this crazy person. But I guess you're right, because he was a bigwig in this corporation, so he had to look real reserved so that nobody would ever think that he'd be a person that would do that.
Well, also in their houses, for Martin's house that it was on the land, his house was all like modern-ish versus the older cottages that everybody else had. So I feel like he was the one that was progressing with the company that was in this modern house that was like the modern shape and like his modern clothes. So both of them were interchangeable to me, but I put the mark on that one. Yeah.
I didn't even see all that, so
but
I'm about no house, no cottage.
I was looking at every detail. You know, I was just like, oh. So back to the worst guy ever, Niles Borgman, the supervisor who decided to anally rape everybody. Both of them, Peter Anderson in the Swedish and Jorik von Wageningen, in the American, has a bunch of letters. Both of them were disgusting, and I felt like I would have been repulsed by it. So.
Right.
Oh, and then go back to the movie, the Swedish one. I like how they had her mother. Like they showed more of her life, of Lisbeth's life, with her flashback, but also her mom in it, which in turn is gonna tie the rest of the movies in together. But I do like how they actually gave Lisbeth a reason why she was angry. Like the American one, it was like she's just the girl with dragon tattoo who lives this emo lifestyle, who kind of gets like walked over by people, but not kind of why she got that way. And the Swedish kind of gave you a little taste of it, and I feel like I know what's going to happen in the other movies, but it gives you that like little bit of taste that you need to push you through the rest of the movies.
Y'all ready to rate this?
Yeah.
So, even though I prefer the Swedish version over the American version, I actually like both adaptations. So I'm giving a full glass to both.
I'll go next, and I'm giving a full glass to both also. Even though I like the Swedish one better, I do like some of the smaller details they pulled into the American version versus the Swedish. But the Swedish one wins in my book. But all in all, I give it a full glass.
Champagne.
And I'll just go third because I know it's going to be 3 against 1 anyway. I've had a full glass. I'm going to give it a full glass, and then I'm going to have another one. So that's 2 full glasses for me.
Oh my God. I can't do it. I cannot. I will give it a long day for the Swedish version, but a full glass for the American. I felt like they just added too much and took too much out.
Still a full glass, so we get a full bottle.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that's still a full bottle, right?
Yes, it is.
I think it's still a full bottle, and we'll see when she gets through the rest of the books how they tie together. Then you'll be like, oh, damn, you know, like a change.
Swedish version, a full glass. Can I go back? Yeah, we know what's coming.
All right, I'll just go get the full bottle.
Well, it was.
Right. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're loving our Skype reviews, so hit us up, give us feedback, let us know what you think.
Welcome to the podcast world.
Whoop, whoop.
If you haven't checked out our post, you can check out what has happened to me several times already on our post on Rewatch Wine. I'm sure there'll be more because this is the type of thing they like to do to me. Drink up.
What?